is very difficult to describe the kind of pain somebody suffering from sickle cell experiences. And it is a condition that is very widespread in Nigeria. Also, it's also difficult to find somebody in that condition who comes out openly to talk about it so as to give support and enlightenment to people and families who are experiencing the pains of sickle cell. Our guest today, Toyin Adesola, has written a book titled Still Standing, and she has courageously shared her story in this book. Today's interview is a fascinating one. I've had a personal one-on-one with her, and I was close to shedding tears. And you're going to experience something similar today. But more importantly, you're going to find encouragement, courage, and motivation from Toyin Adesola and her book. Welcome, Toyin.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Channels Book Club.
Thank you for having me.
You really inspired me when we spoke.
I'm glad.
Really inspired me. Let me give you a bit. We are going to talk about you. Today's show is about you.
Yeah.
But let me give you a bit of a background myself. I lost 3 siblings to sickle cell.
Yeah.
And it was a very painful experience for me and my family. Extremely painful. I grew up seeing them, my siblings, my late siblings, fighting against sickle cell, trying to survive and facing all sorts of challenges that are difficult to explain. I mean, you definitely know better. So I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Excited to be holding your book, to know that you've shared almost every bit of your story, in this book. And that's very encouraging. Thank you for writing this.
Well, thank God. It wasn't easy, but I thank God I wrote it.
So let's start from you.
Yes.
And then we'll zero in on your book. You've told your story in this book, but share a bit of it with viewers.
Okay.
What have you experienced over the years, and then what led to writing this book?
Basically, I've been living with sickle cell for 49 years this year. I've been living with sickle cell, and it's been really challenging. Early years, when you're young, you just realize that you're going to hospital a lot, but you don't really understand why it is so. But as I grew up, I started having the knowledge of what sickle cell is about, the basic knowledge. I was having the crises. I would go to hospital like almost every 3 or 4 months. I'll be in hospital, whether it's a blood transfusion or I had crisis attack. But as I grew older, I started having more complications. I always tell people that I talk to inspire that I've gone through over 5 surgical operations. 5 surgical operations. Wow. 200 hospital admissions and 20 blood transfusions.
Wow.
So it was really tremendous to the point that there was a period that I was really depressed. I had suicidal thoughts because I felt, I had been so overwhelmed with so many issues. I always tell people that I knew there was sickle cell. The typical thing you see in sickle cell is the crisis, the pain. But there are other complications that arise, which are not common in everybody with sickle cell. And I had most of those challenges, those symptoms that people have. So it was really challenging for me. My educational process was disrupted. I had to stop school for a while. But it was my determination to, what I call succeed, to make something of my life. Because my parents was the type of people who were like protective. They didn't want me to fall sick so much. So their perception of that was stay at home, don't really do much. And I was very resilient not to be like that. I didn't want to be a stay-at-home person, just learning handcrafts. I wanted to pursue my education. I wanted to live a purposeful life. So I had to persist and overcome so many hurdles to be what I am today.
Let's attempt to be a bit graphic now. When you were growing up,
yes,
like you just said now, you experienced a lot of illnesses.
Yes.
And so, how did that affect your relationships as a child? I know children at times can be very mean.
Yes.
in school. How can you be a bit more graphic? what was it like growing up as a kid in school, at home, and so on?
Well, funny enough, I think during that period, people who had not understood, or maybe they weren't so mean as they would. The only thing I could say is that there was a lot of pity, which is also negative in itself.
That's negative.
Yes, pity is negative. I always tell people, I don't need your pity, I need your encouragement. Because when you keep pitying people and do the typical, hey, yeah, sorry, hey, yeah, because they don't expect much of you. And a sense of low self-esteem begins to set in because you feel that, oh, you can't achieve anything because they've already felt that, oh, you get sick all the time. I used to like to partake in sports, but because of my challenges, I was stopped. I hated it. I'm a very active-minded person, and people were like, no, don't touch Toyin, Toyin, don't bother, just sit, And so playing was not. If I had caught a bit of play, I would be happy. So I had a lot of that among friends, so they didn't really expect much. In fact, I caught up with, we have a reunion that we normally have, and they were like, oh, I said, I don't know a lot of you because I was always absent in school. So, yeah, we know. We didn't really expect you. We were always absent anyway, so we didn't really expect you to remember us. And that's how it was. I was always absent. And because of that, I always either come in last or second to the last. Not because I wasn't intelligent, but because frequently I was not in school, and trying to keep up with my education was really challenging.
My own late siblings, I saw a lot of that. I mean, there were a lot of restrictions, a lot of things they would have loved to do, they couldn't do. It affected everything. Diets, play,
Exactly.
relationships, and so on. So, quite difficult, very
yes,
difficult.
It is really difficult, and it affects the mind more than you think, because parents just want to protect you. Their own mindset is that let's protect the physical, but they forget there's a mental angle to it. What is this person thinking? How is this person coping with life? Seeing all your friends doing, achieving whatever they want to achieve, and you are being curtailed because of a so-called condition that is putting you in a box.
It's tough.
Yes, it is.
And you just spoke about pity now, what pity does to the mind, how it depresses and makes you feel like, oh, look, you can't do so much because, I mean, everybody should be sorry for you and so on. But how about those the pain part of it? What I experienced with my own siblings was like the pain is difficult to describe.
Yes.
Anytime they were sick, it was difficult for them to describe the kind of pain. And those of us who were around them felt completely helpless.
Yes.
Because there's nothing you use,
That will work.
that makes it go away. And that kind of, can you describe that?
Well, the pain, they're different in different descriptions. Like in my book, I said that it's like somebody stabbing you with a knife and just sticking the knife continuously, not withdrawing, just sticking and jabbing completely for hours on end.
And that can go on for
hours.
Days even.
But a lady described, just show you how bad it was. A lady living with sickle cell was having a baby. Her mother was by her side. And she said that when she was having the contractions, typically the person, they will start screaming and moaning and everything. And the mother asked her, you are about to, deliver a baby and you're not getting all, And she said, Mother, because the pain I normally have is 10 times worse than this. So, and for me, I describe it as somebody, like the other day, some year back or so, I jammed my finger into a car door. When you slam and it shuts it, how painful is that? I didn't cry. So the person was, wow, and I actually broke a bone. I had to wrap it up. And I said, well, why I didn't cry is because the pain I normally have with crisis is not as bad as the pain I have with jamming. I mean, the pain I have is more than the pain I have with somebody jamming your finger. So you can imagine the pain we go through if you've experienced those sort of things. It's really bad. It's really bad. And there are different levels. Sometimes I always pray for the lesser parts because there are different levels of crisis. They're the ones that just maybe your leg is paining you. There's some that is all over. When it reaches all over for me, I know I'm going to be bedridden for a while. If it's just maybe a joint that is just mild pain, it's easier to accommodate. But the all over one is the one that is really, and that's when you know that no matter how much drugs, the pain meds they give you, in another 3 hours, the thing is back again, you know. And unfortunately, because of that, people have this perception that we're drug addicts. So some of us are being called drug addicts because of this pain, because they've not begun to understand the level of what the pain is all about and how to reduce it. So they feel that, okay, because you're crying after 3 hours, you're just addicted to drugs and you just want the drugs, not knowing that it's because the drugs only last for a while and the pain comes back again.
What goes through your mind when you see people without health challenges moaning about their problems? What goes through your mind?
Sometimes I like, if only they do. I say this person is not, because I have a lot. I work with young people. I work with young people a lot, and I see a lot of them who have better, what I call better opportunities than I have. They don't have that health challenge to stop them. Maybe it's just a mind, what I call a mind challenge. And I just laugh because I said, look, you people don't know what I've gone through. And despite that, I've even done more than what you're complaining about. So it's not your challenge that matters, it's your mindset. And I keep saying, look, it's what you think about yourself, how you positive you are towards your situation that determines how well you succeed, not because you are challenged by a condition or an environment or anything like that. So definitely, sometimes I'm jealous, but I've come to the level like I realize that, look, you may think you have a problem, but the next person, you know, disability is not a physical thing, it's the mind.
Mind, that's very powerful. That's very powerful. Very powerful. Okay, so what you have done is you've taken that challenge and turned it into something positive.
Yes.
You produced a very powerful book.
Yes, thank you.
You know, and you've also started an NGO.
Yes.
Which is catering for sickle cell.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the NGO in a bit, but at what point did you decide to write this book, and what was your experience putting it together? Because you must have probably dug up those past painful experiences, and because you put a lot of things in here.
Funny enough, when I first, I have my late maternal grandmother. She was someone who was well